72 hours, 11 regions, more than 500 drones. This is not a battle. This is a siege conducted entirely by remote control. Between June 6th and June 9th, 2026, Ukraine launched one of the largest coordinated drone offensives of the entire war. Not at the front lines, not at contested territory, but deep inside Russia itself. Oil refineries in Samara, a military drone factory 900 kilometers from Ukraine's border, command posts, logistics hubs, radar installations, all hit, all burning, all inside Russian territory. And here's what makes this different from every previous Ukrainian strike. This wasn't a single attack. It wasn't a symbolic gesture. It was a relentless 72-hour swarm that never stopped. Wave after wave, decoy after decoy, target after target. Russia claimed its air defenses intercepted 326 Ukrainian drones in a single night. But here's what the Kremlin isn't telling you. They also confirmed that strikes got through. Fires broke out. Refineries burned. A military plant producing drone components was hit 900 kilometers from the front line. Before I show you why this relentless swarm strategy is slowly paralyzing Russia from within, hit that subscribe button. This is war conflict. We don't just report the news, we decode the strategy. Stay with me. Let me give you the exact scale of what Ukraine just accomplished. Over 500 drones launched across 11 Russian regions in less than 72 hours. The targets tell the real story. This was not random. This was surgical. First, the energy sector. Russia's Samara region took multiple drone strikes. Governor Vyacheslav Fedoryshchev confirmed that several industrial plants were damaged. 3 people were injured. The Samara refinery, a critical node in Russia's fuel production network, caught fire. Second, the military-industrial complex. Ukraine's FP-5 Flamingo long-range missiles struck the VNIIR Progress plant in Cheboksary, more than 900 kilometers from the front line. That factory produces components for Russian drones and missiles. Without those components, Russian drones don't fly. Third, the supply chain. Drone attacks targeted oil infrastructure facilities in Russia's Vladimir region, roughly 700 kilometers from the front line. And fourth, the psychological battlefield. In occupied Crimea, a Ukrainian drone struck the building housing a massive panorama painting depicting the defense of Sevastopol during the 19th century Crimean War. The painting was effectively destroyed. That last target tells you everything about Ukraine's strategy. They are not just hitting military assets, they are dismantling symbols of Russian power. They are proving that no place, not even a museum commemorating an imperial victory, is safe. Now let me explain how Ukraine achieved this, because the numbers alone don't tell the full story. Ukraine has fundamentally changed how drone warfare is conducted. According to CNN reporting, Ukrainian long-range strikes now rely on a 3-part system: decoy drones, AI-assisted targeting, and decentralized command networks. First, the decoys. Not every drone in that 500-plus wave carried explosives. According to the commander of Ukraine's deep strike unit, identified only by the call sign Vector, some drones are launched without any payload at all. They are empty. They are decoys. Why? Because they force Russian air defenses to activate. They reveal radar positions. They waste expensive interceptors. And they create openings for the real attack drones that follow. As Vector told CNN, some are empty, some with a payload. The payload is small, but it is enough to destroy air defense systems. Second, the AI. Ukraine is now using artificial intelligence to process real-time battlefield data. The system analyzes flight paths, previous interception points, Russian radar coverage patterns, and density of air defense activity. The AI then calculates routes that avoid detection and identifies gaps in Russian defenses. The software allows Ukrainian operators to coordinate thousands of UAVs simultaneously from dozens of launch locations. Third, the decentralization. Ukraine no longer operates from a single command center. As Vector explained, we don't have any common centers and we use dozens of places. This makes it nearly impossible for Russia to disrupt Ukrainian drone operations. Even if Russian intelligence identifies one launch site, dozens more remain active. This is not primitive warfare. This is a network-enabled, AI-assisted, psychologically devastating campaign that Russia's centralized air defense system was never designed to counter. Everyone is asking, how much does this cost Ukraine? The real question is, how much is it costing Russia? Some Ukrainian military analysts have estimated that recent large-scale drone attacks may cost Ukraine roughly $100 million. That sounds expensive until you understand the arithmetic of modern air defense. Russia is forced to spend millions of rubles attempting to intercept each wave of drones. An S-300 or S-400 interceptor missile costs millions of dollars. A Ukrainian drone costs a fraction of that. In a long war of attrition, That imbalance matters. As the Washington Examiner noted, Russia is now forced to spend millions of rubles attempting to intercept relatively inexpensive drones. But the real cost to Russia is not the interceptors, it is the economic damage. According to Bloomberg, Russian refineries were attacked 38 times between January and May 2026. 16 of those attacks occurred in May alone, the highest monthly figure since the start of the full-scale war. Data from OilX indicates that Russian refinery utilization has fallen 14% since the beginning of the year and remains about 20% below pre-war levels. Every refinery fire reduces Russia's ability to produce fuel for its military. Every drone that gets through reduces the revenue that funds Putin's war machine. Robert Brovdy, commander of Magyar's Birds, one of Ukraine's leading drone units, put it this way: every dollar Ukraine invests in strike capabilities forces Russia to lose far more in disrupted infrastructure, military spending, and economic instability. Here's what makes this campaign genuinely transformative. Ukraine is not trying to destroy Russia's economy overnight. They are trying to paralyze it slowly, methodically, and irreversibly. Consider the operational impact. Ukraine's commander-in-chief, Oleksandr Syrsky, reported that Ukrainian drone units struck nearly 180,000 verified Russian targets in May alone, a 12.7% increase compared to April. Among those targets were 414 Russian headquarters, command posts, troop concentration areas, and other high-value military facilities. Ukraine has also targeted the R-280 Novorossiya supply route, a key logistics corridor linking Russia to occupied Crimea. According to Ukrainian commanders, military traffic on that route has dropped by up to 71% amid sustained drone attacks on convoys, bridges, and rail links. Think about that number, 71% reduction. Not because Russia chose to move less equipment, because Ukraine made it too dangerous to move equipment at all. This is paralysis by 1,000 cuts, not a single decisive blow, but a relentless, unending series of small strikes that cumulatively make it impossible for Russia to sustain normal military operations. Now let me tell you about something that doesn't appear in any damage assessment. The Ukrainian drone campaign is also exposing a deeper strategic problem for Russia. The myth of an untouchable Moscow has been shattered. As the Washington Examiner put it, for years Moscow presented itself as untouchable, the protected center of a militarized empire capable of projecting power abroad while remaining completely secure at home. That illusion is now collapsing. The evidence is clear. Ukrainian drones have reached Moscow's airspace. They have struck targets in St. Petersburg. They have forced the Kremlin to prune back its annual Victory Day parade because of fears of drone attacks. Millions of Russians have now seen that the war is no longer something happening only in distant Ukrainian cities. Explosions and panic have reached the capital, and the Kremlin's reaction has revealed another weakness. During the attacks, warning sirens reportedly failed to function properly. Emergency lines became overloaded. Russian authorities focused more on suppressing information than protecting civilians. The slogan of the Ukrainian drone brigade, Magyar's Birds, captures this new reality perfectly. Stop running, fly. The war did not merely arrive in Moscow, it flew there. Ukraine is not simply striking military targets, it is dismantling the central myth sustaining Putin's system, the belief that the Russian state remains strong, untouchable, and capable of protecting its own people while waging war against its neighbors. Here's the thing. The most expensive thing Ukraine destroyed in those 72 hours wasn't the Samara refinery, or the Cheboksary drone factory, or the Sevastopol museum. It was Russia's assumption that time is on their side. For 4 years, Putin's strategy has been simple: outlast Ukraine. Wait for Western support to fracture. Grind forward slowly, regardless of cost. But Ukraine has demonstrated something that changes that calculus. They can scale up their drone campaign faster than Russia can adapt. They can strike deeper, more frequently, and more cheaply than Russia can defend. According to Ukrainian military intelligence, Russia has recruited only 14,500 personnel into drone units since the beginning of 2026, approximately 21% of its annual target. Attempts to recruit university students have fallen short. Ukraine now holds a 1.5 to 1 advantage over Russia in FPV drones, with the gap widening further in Kyiv's favor in recent months. The next phase of this war will likely involve coordinated swarms, autonomous medium-range drones, and artificial intelligence systems designed to overwhelm Russian air defenses. Russian authorities already appear deeply concerned about this shift. Panic inside Russia's drone industry has led to investigations, raids, and corruption cases connected to failed procurement programs. I want to leave you with something that the headlines won't tell you. On the same night that Ukraine launched its massive drone offensive, Russia also attacked Ukraine. Nearly 530 drones and 2 guided missiles. 11 Ukrainian regions hit. Dozens wounded. A Panama-flagged container ship damaged. This war is not one-sided. Ukraine bleeds every day. But here's the difference that matters. Russia attacks Ukraine from occupied territory and from Russian soil that they assumed was safe. Ukraine attacks Russia from within Russia's own borders, using their own airspace against them. The Ukrainian drone campaign has proven that there is no sanctuary. Not in Belgorod, not in St. Petersburg, not in Moscow. Not anymore. The war is no longer something that happens to Ukraine. It is something that Russia experiences every night, in every region, in every refinery fire, and every air raid siren, and every moment of uncertainty about whether the next drone will get through. Ukraine launched more than 500 drones across 11 Russian regions in less than 72 hours. They didn't win the war in those 3 days. Wars are not won by drones alone. But they proved something that may be more valuable than any territorial gain. They proved that Russia cannot hide. They proved that the Kremlin cannot protect what it claims to control. They proved that the swarm will keep coming, night after night, until the war ends. And that is not a military victory. That is a sentence. I'm War Conflict. Subscribe, because the next 72 hours are already being planned.